Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is the House of Law and I'm Al Jumrani. In today's video, I will talk about the law on nuisance. I made this video primarily for my students at the University of the East College of Law Civil Law Review 1 class because of the several meetings that we missed because of the successive typhoons that ravaged most of Luzon. But if you are watching this video, I hope you will find this lecture instructive and helpful. If you are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell for future videos. Again, thank you very much for all your support. So let's begin. So what is a nuisance? A nuisance is any act, omission, establishment, business, condition of property, or anything else which injures or endangers the health or safety of others, or annoys or offends the senses, or shocks, defies, or disregards decency or morality, or obstructs or interferes with the free passage of any public highway or street, or any body of water, or hinders or impairs the use of property. So if you're a student of law and you want to have a handy definition of a nuisance, so this one is a good definition because it covers most of the, if not all of the aspects or characteristics of a nuisance. And again, that's Article 694 of the Civil Code. Now, what are the examples of nuisances under Article 694 of the Civil Code? So under the first type or characteristic, which is injures or endangers the health or safety of others, we have a house in danger of falling, fireworks or explosives factory. Under annoys or offense to senses, we have too much horn blowing or uncollected garbage. Under shocks, defies, or disregards decency or morality, we have a nude performance or exhibition or a house of prostitution. Under obstructs or interferes with the free passage of any public highway or street or any body of water, we have houses constructed on public streets and illegal market stalls and vendors on public streets. Now, under hinders or impairs the use of property, we have an illegal construction on another's land. Okay, now let's look at the kinds or types of nuisance. So, a nuisance can be public or private. It can also be under a different context, a nuisance per se or a nuisance per accidents. So a public nuisance is one that affects a community or neighborhood or any considerable number of persons. For example, a noisy or dangerous factory in a quiet residential district. A private nuisance is not a public nuisance because it affects only a private person or individual. An example is an illegally constructed dam partially resting on another's estate. A nuisance per se is always a nuisance because it's inherently wrong or it's inherently offensive. For example, a house of prostitution. A nuisance per accident, on the other hand, is a nuisance only because of the location or other circumstances. For example, a noisy factory in a quiet residential district. So it's only a nuisance because of the location. A noisy factory would be more at home and natural if it were in an industrial district. Now, what's the liability for nuisance by the owner or the successive owner or possessor of the property? So we have Article 696 of the Civil Code. And here it is stated that every successive owner or possessor of property who fails or refuses to abate a nuisance in that property started by a former owner or possessor is liable, therefore, in the same manner as the one who created it. So although that's how the law has been written, but primarily the liability is on the owner or possessor who created it. But the liability extends to the successive owner or possessor. Thus, both of them cannot escape liability and point the blame to one or the other. So every person who owns or possesses a property that is deemed a nuisance has a moral and a legal duty to abate and to remedy or to put an end to that nuisance. Now, if the owner doesn't do anything, then the law provides for the remedies, the legal remedies for abating these nuisances. So first, let's look at the remedies against a public nuisance or one that affects the community. So the remedies are prosecution under the penal code or any local ordinance, a civil action, either for injunction and damages, and lastly, abatement without judicial proceedings or what we call extrajudicial abatement. More on that in the succeeding slide. So who may avail the remedies against a public nuisance? Remember, the nuisance affects the community. So naturally, you will expect a public official. So you are correct. So under Article 700, it's the district health officer who is personally responsible. So he should take care that one or all of the remedies against public nuisance are availed of. Okay. So he can initiate or institute the criminal action, the civil action, or even the extrajudicial abatement. Now, if it is a civil action, however, the action must be filed in the name of or commenced by the city or municipal mayor, being that he is the chief local executive. Now, Article 703, however, provides for a situation where a private person may file an action on account of the public nuisance. But the condition under Article 703 is that that public nuisance must be specially injurious to himself. Okay. Remember that it's the community who is the offended party in a public nuisance. But if a private person can establish and can demonstrate that he is specially and specifically injured by that public nuisance, then he can initiate the action against the nuisance in his own name. All right, now speaking of extrajudicial abatement, so how is it done? Extrajudicial abatement of public nuisance by a private person is done by removing or, if necessary, by destroying the thing which constitutes the same without committing a breach of the peace or doing unnecessary injury. So based on that, we have the following requisites. First, that demand be first made upon the owner or possessor of the property to abate the nuisance. Second, a demand was given but it was rejected. Okay. Third, the demand be approved by the district health officer and executed with the assistance of the local police. And lastly, the value of the destruction does not exceed 3,000 pesos. So note that these conditions must be met. Maybe the most important here, as far as the private person is concerned, is that he must determine the value of the property to be destroyed, because if it exceeds 3,000 pesos, then he cannot, of course, avail of extrajudicial abatement. So instead, he should ask the local health officer to initiate criminal action or civil action. Well, as far as the civil action is concerned, he can also avail of that, provided, again, as I've stated earlier, he is able to establish that that public nuisance is especially injurious to him. Okay, now what are the remedies against a private nuisance? So remember, a private nuisance is one that affects or offends a private person or a private individual. So the remedies are: one, a civil action. Again, a civil action is an action filed in court for injunction or maybe an action for damages. And the second remedy is extrajudicial abatement. Now, the requisites for extrajudicial abatement of a public nuisance must be followed. So remember, we said that extrajudicial abatement is by removing the thing, okay, of course, without causing unnecessary injury and breaching the peace of the community, provided again that the requisites are present. So, for example, there must be a demand made to the owner of the property deemed as nuisance, but that demand was ignored, and that the value of the property or the value of the destruction does not exceed 3,000 pesos. Okay, now, in case of extrajudicial abatement, although it may be allowed under the circumstances, can the person who performs the extrajudicial abatement be held liable, even though, again, as I've said, it is allowed by law? Well, the answer is yes. Article 707 of the Civil Code provides that a private person or public official may be liable for extrajudicial abatement if he causes unnecessary injury or if the alleged nuisance is later declared by the courts to be not a real nuisance. So those are the things to know about the law on nuisance. I hope you found this video helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. And again, please don't forget to subscribe and to click that notification bell. That's it from me, and I'll see you in the next video.